All right, we are officially live on Facebook. 3 minutes late, man. I got to switch up the cords. I got too many power cords, and I keep knocking out. I keep knocking out the power cords, man. It's knocking out the power right before I'm about to go on. So I need to do some rearranging with the cords in the studio, man. So I don't make it less likely that I'm gonna knock the power out. All right, let's see. Check the feed on Facebook. What's up? What's up? If you're on Facebook, drop a note in the comment. Let me know you're watching. Just trying to get everything finalized on the setup. And we'll get started. We'll get started on Wealth Talk Tuesdays. Really, today's not going to be as technical as some of the prior sessions. If this is your first time logging on to Wealth Talk Tuesdays, make sure you definitely check out the last 5 weeks, the last 5 episodes that dropped. We did a thorough, not thorough, I mean as thorough as you could be, but we did a deep dive on the 4 cash flow quadrants, plus an overview of what the cash flow quadrant is, and basically just giving you some more insight and detail on basically the aspects of generating cash flow. Today is more so just general conversation. I am working on the next phase. I got a lot of different things that I'm trying to cover. And what's up, Courtney? A lot of different things I'm trying to cover, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm slicing and dicing everything up, and putting it in its proper segments. But one of the next, I guess, series I'm working on is a series about basically the 4 phases of a recession. So right now we're really at the beginning stages, still at the beginning stages of a recession. And there is a methodical step-by-step, or there are methodical phases of a recession. And a lot of times when recessions happen, people, they kind of happen to people and people aren't expecting them. But if you understand the nuances of recessions and the economy, and depending on what type of approach you're taking, you should be able to see the recession coming. Now, with this recession, I knew for at least a year and a half that this recession was coming. There were so many indicators, but the thing that was unique about this recession is the way in which it happened. It was totally not really economic dependent in terms of what started it. It was the pandemic that started the recession. I remember talking to my business partners back in February, and we're on a group chat, and I'm like, man, I think this pandemic is going to be what triggers the next recession. And it was still very early. And within a matter of weeks, that's when we really started to see the impact and the fallout, just the beginning stages of the impact and the fallout. And here we are, 6 months later, and we're still really in the very beginning stages of this recession. But anyway, so the next series I'm working on is to kind of talk about the various phases of a recession, and why it's important for you to stay cognizant of where we are in the recession is because it helps you make better decisions, whether they be better financial decisions, whether they be better decisions about how and when you work, or better decisions about when you invest or when you buy. But anyway, that'll be the next series. So I might get that off started next week. I might not. But today I really just want to I just wanted to do an event overview or an event recap. So last Saturday, I don't know if you all logged on, but last Saturday, I was a part of a virtual event called the Principles of Black Financial Freedom. And this event, of course, is open to anybody. Particularly, we're targeting a specific group of people, but nonetheless, the information, applies across the board. So if you did not see that event or you were not able to join that event, you can go to, I believe it's on my fan page on Facebook. It's not posted on Instagram, so you'll have to go to my Facebook. Soon it'll be posted up on YouTube. I'll post it up on my YouTube when I get the file. But nonetheless, man, it was a great event, and the event covered. I spoke on real estate, some real estate investing, but there were a lot of other people who spoke as well, and there were people who spoke on credit. There were people who spoke on financial advising. There were people who spoke on actively trading in the Forex market. And if you don't know what Forex is, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. There are a ton of people who have been doing it and talking about it. But basically, Forex is the trading of foreign currency. So we had Forex on there. We had credit. We had financial advising. We even had a mental health expert get on and talk about the mental health implications and the mental health impacts of poverty versus wealth, as well as the realities of, the mental health issues that you can and will face, whether you're in poverty, whether you're middle class, or whether you're wealthy. So definitely make sure you check out that video. It was a lot of good information. But recapping that event, if I have anybody who's logged on today or who's logged on right now, if you actually were at that event virtually, drop a note in the comment and let me know, what you thought of it. But as we were doing the event, and just to recap on the event, one of the things that I was thinking about, one of the things we discussed was the importance of making sure that you are not traveling alone when it comes to this journey of, financial improvement, financial wealth, wealth building, trying to achieve financial freedom. It is a singular journey, right? We each of us are responsible for our own financial wherewithal and our own financial well-being, but we tend to operate according to the people who are around us and the people who are in our circle, and that can work to your benefit, but it can also work to a disadvantage. And I'll talk about how that can work to your disadvantage as well as your benefit at a later time. But Saturday was a reminder for me that you need to definitely make sure that you are continually putting yourself around individuals who understand, the journey that you're on, so that you can build that support network for people to continually hold you accountable, and hold you accountable with intention and without judgment. If you are going to pursue trying to, build wealth and trying to achieve financial freedom, statistically, not just by opinion, but statistically, you are literally going to be one out of every 100 people who actually reach and achieve that goal, right? Like statistically, one out of 100 people are going to achieve financial freedom, are going to accumulate a significant amount of wealth, are going to have the mindset of the mindset and the consciousness of why it's important to build wealth. A lot of times, there's a lot of demonization that goes on, and a lot of bad talking about, people who are pursuing wealth and people who have wealth. But one of the things we talked about on Saturday, and one of the things I like to talk about, I like to mention and tell people, is the average, American, the average millionaire, the average wealthy person, they're just everyday people. They're not bad people. They're everyday people who, grinded it out, created an environment, created a business, created a situation where they were able to accumulate wealth over the course of their lifetime. But then we also talked a lot about the implications and the importance of generational wealth and being able to give back, being able to be in position to have the next generation start off further than, where you started off. I don't understand the mindset and the mentality behind, making every generation start over from the bottom. Like if you do not pass down any type of financial wealth, and I'll come back to that in a second, but if you don't pass anything down economically, then the next generation is starting off all the way at the bottom. And one of the things I mentioned on Saturdays, before, back in the day, we used to, the common, back in the day, we had a formal system of of slavery, right? We had a formal system where people were enslaved, and it was a particular and a specific group of people who were enslaved. Now, historically, slavery has been around since the beginning of mankind, but how slavery looked was totally different from how it looked in America. And so people, I won't get into that, but anyway, so we had a formal system of slavery. Now we are past that formal system of slavery, but at that point in time, it was a very specific demographic of people, right? For a very long time, it was Africans in America, blacks in America. It was the Japanese at one point in time, right? It wasn't just us; it was other cultures, but we were forced into it for a much longer period of time. Nonetheless, now that we are past this formal system of enslavement, every human being in some form and without wealth is in one shape or another enslaved and in bondage. And it's not the bondage and slavery that we're used to reading about and that we know we know from historical standpoint. Is economic bondage, and it's being in a position where you don't have the say or the total control over your existence as a human being on earth because you don't have the financial wherewithal to be economically independent. That's what that's what financial freedom affords you, affords you independence. So nonetheless, man, Saturday was definitely a good event. I wanted to talk a little bit today about making sure that you have your team around you, right? The pursuit of building wealth, and it's a journey. I always say this: it's a journey, right? It's ups, it's downs, especially when you are coming from the bottom, right? Like for me, I'm coming from the very bottom of the economic ladder in terms of where my life started, right? People start at different different points in time. So whenever I give the information, I'm always giving it from a standpoint where I want to, empower other people to come literally from the bottom of the economic ladder to make it all the way to the top and hopefully achieve financial freedom and then be able to sustain that and grow that and then to pass that down. Now, passing down the monetary is good, but what's more important is passing down the knowledge that it took for you to be able to obtain and create the wealth in the first place, and obtain and create the financial, the financial wherewithal in the first place. It's the knowledge, it's the information, and it's the experience. But you can only get that. You can only get it if you are actually going through the process yourself and doing it yourself. Now, one of the things that that kind of came up in discussion was, hey, we can give people knowledge, we can give people the information, but we cannot force them to take action, right? I can talk all day until I'm blue in the face, but I cannot force you to take action. So at some point in time, you have to go from, not knowing, right? You go through this process, when we talk about ignorance, people take offense when you're called ignorant, but the literal term or definition of ignorance is just simply you do not know, right? So when you do not know something, you have to go through a process of education, right? That education, that knowledge, that information, that's what turns that light bulb on. It increases your level of consciousness, and it raises your level of awareness. Then from the knowledge, you have to move on to application. And that application process is where you start to become intentional about your actions and intentional about your activity. So if you are going to achieve financial freedom in your lifetime, if you are going to accumulate wealth in your lifetime, if you are going to accumulate economic independence in your lifetime, you have to be intentional about your actions and your activities. You have to be intentional about the way that you think. And so part of that process of being intentional is actually building your team, building the team of people that you need to help you in this journey of wealth building. It's an individual sport, but it requires a team effort, if that makes sense. So what do I mean by that? The individual is you, right? You're the individual that's making the pursuit of trying to accumulate wealth, trying to achieve financial freedom. But the team that you need around you is going to be a multitude of people, right? You're going to need lawyers at some point. You're going to need real estate experts, brokers, agents. You're going to need a real estate person at some point in time. Credit, right? You're going to need some type of credit advice, credit education, credit information, credit repair. So you need somebody, who is knowledgeable on credit, stocks, bonds, insurance. You're going to need all of that at some point in time, right? There are different coaches, performance coaches, right? Someone to help you perform better in your everyday individual life so that you can perform at the level you need to perform at to generate the revenue that you need to invest. Other people who are going through the process together so that you have this social support network, as well as you have people who can expose you to higher levels of not only thought but higher levels of living. And you need mentors, right? You need coaches, people who may formally or not formally be a coach or a mentor. But listen, there's so much information out there nowadays that you can literally have a coach or a mentor and they not even know it, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be this formal relationship where that person may be so far removed from where you are that you can't even touch them. And if you want to touch them, it's going to cost you money. But that doesn't mean you can't consume the knowledge. You can't consume the information that they put out. And by the consuming of the knowledge and the information and then mimicking of the activity, you are learning from this person. You're in this coaching, mentorship relationship. I'll tell you, there's this author. What time is it? We're at 16:32. All right, so there's this author. His name is Dan Kennedy. I don't know if you've ever read Dan Kennedy, but he's a marketing expert, marketing guru, marketing expert, and he writes a lot of books on basically guerrilla marketing tactics, small business marketing tactics, and things like that. Well, he wrote a book. Well, of course he wrote a book, but one of the books he wrote is I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's about wealth. It's like I can't remember the name. I've got the book. I have to pull it out, but it's a book that he wrote about wealth, and it's like the 24 principles of wealth for building or something like that. And anyway, he talks about how important, most of the time you hear people talk about mindset, right? And mindset is important. You got to have a wealth mindset, a millionaire's mindset. You got to have this type of mindset. And yes, you do have to have this type of mindset. But one of the things that he said that was very powerful and really changed my perspective on what I was doing at the time and how I've been doing it since is he said, pay more attention, not so much to the mindset, right? Like, the mindset is important, but pay more attention to the actions, right? The actions of the individual who you want to, whose life you want to mimic or whose accomplishments you want to achieve. Focus more on the actions. What are they doing, right? Like, not just how they're thinking, but what are they actually doing? So you can mimic the results if you mimic the actions and the activities, right? Very simple concept. Mimic the actions and the activities, and eventually you will accomplish the same thing. You will achieve the same thing. So anyway, that's just a side note, man. But yeah, Saturday was good. Saturday was really good. I would definitely encourage you to start building out your team. Continue to educate yourself. Continue to ask questions. Continue to learn. One of the things I liked about Saturday too is we got a good group of brothers who are really intent and moving with intention about trying to do what we can to further the knowledge base of our culture and empowering our culture to build wealth. But whether you're Black, African American, it doesn't matter. I got friends from all over the world, so I don't know who's watching right now. But nonetheless, if you are going to make that pursuit, it is going to require that you literally change your actions. Like, you're going to have to make some changes. And one of the difficult things is, especially right now, is watching people, like we were, laughing about this, like, if a pandemic doesn't scare people into changing, if a pandemic doesn't scare people into changing their actions and their activities in order to increase their chances of living, then it's going to be hard to force people to change their actions and activities in order to build wealth, right? To achieve economic freedom or financial freedom. You know, people just don't care. Like, people just don't care. So if you are watching this, you have to pay attention to the people around you who just don't care. And you don't necessarily have to remove yourself from that relationship, but you do have to approach and adjust how you interact and how you involve yourself with that person, because it's going to rub off on you in terms of the perspective and the mindset. And the amount of sacrifice, the amount of focus, the amount of dedication that you are going to need is going to be significant. And you want to marry yourself with the right level of energy and frequencies when it comes to people, when it comes to individuals. So yeah, man, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Again, if you didn't see the event last Saturday, you can find it on my Facebook. I think it's on my personal profile. It's also on my fan page. If you're watching me on Instagram, you can go to my bio. I've got a link tree. Go to the link tree in my bio, and one of the links on there is from my Facebook page. The overall event was about 45 minutes, so not too long. You could definitely listen to it while you're doing something else, but just make sure you take the time to invest in yourself. And investing in yourself is, investing in the knowledge, investing in the information, and then, of course, taking the actions and changing your activity level. So I appreciate you all for logging on today for Wealth Talk Tuesdays. If you got a comment, if you got a question, go ahead and drop it now. I'm watching IG, watching Facebook. If I don't see any questions or comments, I'm going to go ahead and assume that all is well and call it a wrap. Going once, going twice, going 3 times, and it's sold. All right. Take care. Y'all have a good afternoon. I'll see y'all later this week on another live, another feature, whatever else I got going on this week. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, and I will see you soon. Take care. Peace.